Carbon capture and storage development. What can we do about it? We can do quite a lot, and one of the things that we do is participate in a project that is called, CCS4CC, Building Long-Term Momentum. So the project addresses the climate change, and the project addresses basically the question of what is logical in terms of deploying carbon capture and storage, and what should or could individual countries do. And we have quite a few of these countries. They are highlighted in green. So the Baltic states, the Central Europe. We also had Ukraine as well before the war started. But I think that we will be able to continue with Ukraine after all. So what we did, we had several things done already. So we assessed the current state. That was more or less last year. We developed something that we call policy roadmaps, which is a series of white papers for each individual country for these green countries highlighted. And now we are having this event as part of supporting development of these flagship CCS initiatives. And the addressable market is quite large. So you can see a lot of companies that emit 1 million tons or more, shown on this map. And we can see that most countries do foresee net zero as their ultimate goal. They do not disqualify carbon capture and storage technology. Many countries are awaiting the maturity of technology. And what we see also that there are no or very few carbon capture goals set in the legislation. So this is just the current situation. But the stakeholders are quite interested, especially the industry stakeholders, these smaller and larger circles. But not the society, actually. The society is not super acceptable. So if it is onshore storage, the sentiment is not really good. If it's offshore, this is better. In terms of what's happening in the Baltic states, so there are more or less 2 points. So first point is that in some countries like Estonia, there is very little or no geological potential to actually store onshore. Latvia and Lithuania arguably has some, and we'll be able to also speak further about that in the panel session. And the geological storage is prohibited in all of the countries, but on the other hand, industry representatives are really investing real money into measuring feasibility, into doing pilot projects, and into forming actually consortiums to think about carbon capture and storage. So that's more or less it. Carbon capture technologies as a topic will be included in the Environmental Development Plan 2030 in Estonia, and stakeholders or stakeholder in Estonia are looking for ways to reduce its carbon impact. In Latvia, the climate law is being developed, and if you look into the current drafts, it's planned to abolish the prohibition of the storage of CO2, so something new here. And in Lithuania stakeholders definitely consider carbon capture technologies as one of the tools in combating climate change, and they are also actively looking for also cross-border initiatives. So things are brewing really in the Baltic states and in the general Central Eastern and also Nordic Europe. Several examples of the policy white papers that we did in various countries, and they are all online at ccs4cc.eu. But just several examples of how these policy roadmaps look like. So for instance, in Czech Republic, under storage site exploration, our colleagues suggest, for instance, allocate appropriate funding to Czech Geological Survey, or prioritize permitting process for nearly depleted gas and oil fields, or communicate through European Commission the need to actually budget, carbon capture and storage. So that's part of the actions that are, let's say, kindly prescribed for Czech Republic, for Czechia. For Slovakia, proactive role of Slovak Geological Survey, and also perhaps a new interdisciplinary program can be developed in one of the universities. So these are, let's say, this is the flavor of how the policy roadmap look like. And in general, in general, there are several common topics or common themes that are in the policy roadmaps. So all of the roadmaps say that it would make sense to launch national CCS platforms to, let's say, inform or advocate for CCS deployment, to incentivize research of CCS. And, well, in many countries, in many also Baltic countries, this research has been done. And then we'll have another speaker talking about that. On the point of policy, we have a national development and strategic documents. So CCS is not exactly implemented, is not exactly mentioned there, but in the newest drafts, at least in some countries, it will be done. So I guess the policy roadmaps prescribe that. And also what we should do, and this is what also Michal told in his speech, is that we should promote local cooperation and also cross-border initiatives. The scale of the problem and the scale of amount of CO2 is so large so that no individual company can actually do significant progress just on their own. If we go forward, so what would make sense should the countries decide to do something about carbon capture is to perhaps nominate government representatives to coordinate the activities about that, similarly to what has been done for hydrogen in some of the countries. Perhaps to set up a platform or a working group, perhaps implement further research and pilot projects. And lastly, what we can think about is about, let's say, either abolishing, let's say, restrictions on onshore CO2 storage, or at least that might also make sense to allow meaningful pilot projects of injecting the carbon. As long as this is safe from the environmental point of view. So that's it for our project. That's it for the pilot initiatives. You can look into our roadmaps, should you choose so, again, at ccs4cc.eu. And the general feeling after like a year or two of doing this is that all of the stakeholders who emit significant amounts of CO2 are actively thinking about either capturing CO2, storing it somewhere, or shipping it somewhere. But concrete plans are actually being developed like right now. So it is a very interesting topic to follow. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen in 1, 5, 10, and 20 years. Shall we store 0 CO2 or shall we store a lot? Let's see. But before we can see that, we shall look into Polish experience, and we shall look into experience that will be presented by policy analyst at Wise Europe, Kamil Laskowski.